Okay, hello everyone. Let me just quickly switch the camera over here. There we go. I'm at the different side of the sofa today, if you haven't noticed. So I have a companion with me for this stream. um, Lovely. I'm a lot closer to the microphone today from this angle, so maybe the sound quality hopefully should be better for all those out there who have been complaining that everything's all messed up. And I agree, the last stream was awful sound quality wise. But I think everything should be as it should be. I've put the filters back to what they used to be. I've made sure everything's muted where it needs to be muted. All my tabs here are working. Yep, everything's as it should be. And hopefully the sound quality should be a lot better for you guys today, and you won't have to crank up your sound to the max and still have to get your ears near to the speakers to still hear me speak. So let me just go into the chat here, see what you guys are all saying. Who have we got? Hi, Amelia, good to see you. We've got 15 people coming in. Excellent, people are joining us. Kanga Kong, great to see you. So yeah, hopefully the sound is good for everyone. Just let me know if that's all clear. Sounds great, excellent. Thanks, I see it now. Hi, Mad Dog, good to see you. Humble Stranger. Sydney, great to see you. Yeah, so the usual thing today, guys. I'm just going to let people roll in, have a bit of a talk with you guys, and then I'm going to give a quick presentation. What I need to do today is pick up from where I actually left off with the last stream. Though the last stream did go on for 2 hours, I was just about to begin discussing a specific topic about Soundsuits and the Dogon tribes of Africa, and many connections I made from there. But my computer actually overheated and just crashed, just stopped working. Nothing was responding anymore. It was red hot to touch. The hardware just could not hack it, and that stream just came to an abrupt end. So what I'm going to do today is just pick up from where I left off and finish off that presentation for today's presentation. Maybe it was for the best. Maybe it was meant to be. Maybe I would have crammed too much into that other stream if I had talked about this stuff as well. But yeah, I've got some interesting things to bring to you guys today. Let's just see. We've got 19 people. Brilliant. Joyce, great to see you. Dan Calf, thanks for being here. Brilliant. Yeah, so today I want to go through the art scene as well, modern art and art culture. It's the world I came from myself. My degree is in fine arts. My dream growing up was to become an artist, to have my work in galleries, and I suppose just be a part of that scene, and be famous through that kind of means in that respect. But not because I wanted to be famous, but because I truly loved creating artwork. It was where my passion lied. It's what I'm good at. It's just what I am. So when I went to university, I was pretty messed up by what I discovered by the end of my degree after 3 years, after getting into the art scene there. I kind of discovered it's all just a load of nonsense, and the art scene is just a load of pretentious, self-masturbatory, pompous weirdos all circle jerking each other and telling each other how great they are when they talk about absolute nonsense of nothing of importance within their artwork and pretend that it means something. The standards are gone. People could literally present a pile of trash and call it art, and there'll be plenty of people there sipping wine and eating cheese, ready to clap them along and say how wonderful and how deep. And to be honest, I was just completely disillusioned with the whole thing. I realised this is not what I thought the art scene truly was. And I was... so I decided, it wasn't really for me, I suppose, in the end. And any dreams I had of becoming an artist died when I realised I just can't really be a part of that kind of culture. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. We'll get into that as I talk into one particular artist that was some information was sent to me about, which I think would be worth sharing with you guys because it fits in really well with this whole Nephilim look like clowns thing. And obviously we see clowns increasing in the media, but it also seems to be subtly being brought into the art world as well. So it's definitely worth just having a quick talk about in this Truth or Therapy session. That's what we do here, we just discuss all things which are a little bit out there and strange, which deserve, a long conversation about, basically, which might not always necessarily be good in a short video. So let's just check the chat, see what we've got, and then I'll just dive in, guys, and see what's going on. So I've got a question here. Have you seen Jerry Marzinski by Mad Dog? Yes, I have talked with Jerry Marzinski on this channel. I have an interview with him. If you go onto my live shows, it was done live. You'll find it there. It was about a month or two ago now. But I've had a conversation with him. I'm very well aware of his story. He shared a bit of that with us. And we just had a good back and forth about what these entities are from both of our opinions, But yeah, Jerry was cool. I hope to have him back sometime, but I know he's a busy man, and that may not happen. But yeah, I'm aware of Jerry Marzinski. Dan Kalf, I believe I have found the answer to my astral projection question, and it lies in Leviticus 19:21. Do not turn to ghosts or consult spirits, by which you will be defiled. I am the Lord, I am your God. Yeah, well, that says it straight, really, and it's a straight to the point warning there, isn't it, in Leviticus? And when you understand the Nephilim story and the context behind what those spirits are and where they come from, it makes perfect sense. It's not just a boring God who doesn't want you to have any fun. It's a severe warning about a real historical issue which we have to deal with now in the present. Yeah, but wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. Sorry, 1931, Leviticus, not 21. He corrects himself. Makes me think of Basquiat. Love his art, but you can see the influence. Yeah, well, these modern artists, they're a special kind of crazy. I find a lot of these, especially, the contemporary modern art scene, all this postmodern nonsense that comes out now. And they're really good at kind of just talking a load of nonsense about what they've created. But when you just describe what they've actually created, it's simple, basic, and is not that great, But they're good at talking about pontificating on subliminal meanings within their artwork, occulted meanings within their artwork, which aren't really there. They're making it up. And I know that because I did it. Like I said, I was in the art scene for a short time, and I understood the game, and the game is how well can you blag about what you've created and convince other people that it means something. How good of a speaker are you really? I guess is kind of what the game is. It's quite deceptive, and it's a racket. There's a lot of money floating around in the art scene, a lot of money laundering going on with people buying these extremely expensive artworks. It's a very corrupt and silly scene now. Which is a shame, because art used to have meaning and used to have standards, and I just wish we still lived in that time where that was the case. Hi everyone, I'm late, says Winds of Change, good to see you. His video about red night vision goggles in Vietnam, I've heard that people who used the red night vision goggles saw demons, and that's why they switched it to green. I have heard that story. I believe a lot of art, just like autobiographies and books, are money laundering. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that going on in the art industry. Definitely, 100%. I do not know who this Balkans rat you talk of is, the pitch. I'm afraid I'm out of the loop on that one. E. Joyce, good to see you. As an art school dropout, I resonate so much with what you're saying. Yeah, it's a real shame, because the art schools are, I went there thinking I would be taught art history and technique, but all I was really taught about is how can I bullshit my way through really low quality artwork, because the thing is that they don't believe it. It doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter how good technically the art is. It's all about the meaning, and I am in the middle. I believe it's all about the meaning, yes, but it also should be awe-inspiring. It should have some quality to it that involves talent. That's what makes it inspiring, in my opinion, not simply just the meaning or what the artist was feeling when they decided to vomit into a bucket and throw it onto a canvas. It's I believe some skill has to be involved with art. Personally, I know everyone says now it's all subjective, but that doesn't feel right to me. So we have Drunk Wedding Photographer here saying, I hear I got a bone to pick with the local art scene here in LA. It really is an initiation type of crowd. It is, and you always find everyone in the art scene are all just liberal, hippie, pretentious douchebags. That's the only way I can describe it. They really are, and they fit into that stereotype so much. And I could play the part for a while, but it eventually got to the point where I was like, it's not me. I didn't want it that much. Been seeing a lot of TikToks online about the sound suits way back in the day. Yeah, sound suits. Yeah, we're going to talk about the sound suits in a minute. I think there's a lot of spiritual symbolism going on with Nick Cave's artwork and his sound suits, which maybe he does know about. I don't know, but there's some interesting things from a spiritual eye we can observe about his character and his artwork, which may hint that he does possibly know the spirits he's channeling. But again, a lot of this I do think is done in ignorance, especially in the art scene. I don't think there's a lot of intelligence with modern artists and people within the art scene. I think there's a lot of bluster and pretense that they are intelligent. I don't think as much thought goes into it as they make themselves, as they claim. If it alienates the layman, then maybe that's the point to the extent. Yeah. Tyler Vaughan, good to see you. They say, whether you believe it or not, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. I wouldn't trade this knowledge for gold. We are the aware, the few who see through the veil. Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? Modern art equals money embezzlement. That's right, humble stranger. Yeah, exactly. Winds of Change. I joined a couple of secret clown groups. Ooh, interesting. You'll have to let me know how that's going. An artist went off on me for an hour because I insulted her coat hanger installation. She made it sound way more important than it looked. Yeah, I've got a funny story to share with you guys later about I did something very similar. A public art. It became a very public argument. But yeah, it happens. So eventually, you just lose patience with these people and you snap. I understand. Renaissance equals Enlightenment philosophy. Stuff going there, sadly. Yeah. Mark II Technologies, good to see you. Dino, great to see you. Hello and greetings to one and all. Hi, Paul, I'm late again. Now, don't worry about it. I started this show about 5 minutes late as well, so we're all late today. That's fine. That's just fine. There's no rush. The thing they do is spawning their idea like spawning babies, wants, or random comments now. And I do struggle to see art as more than just a word. It's all the industry. No one makes it without joining. Exactly. The art industry is no different than the music industry or the film industry. Exactly. Marina Abramovich is an artist. Yeah, the satanic witch. Yeah, I know. And what was it? The spirit cooking. Oh, God. That takes me back. That's some old school conspiracy stuff there. That's like 4 years in the making, isn't it? Yeah, messed up. Paul, I joined the groups for research, says Winds of Change. I'm sure you did. I mean, I've been following a few Freemason groups on Reddit and listening to some of the things they talk about with each other just to, for research. And honestly, you get some serious insight on the ground level researching these by doing that type of thing. So Winds of Change, I understand. I understand what you're doing. E. Joyce, I would love to hear your reflections on my paintings. Well, E. Joyce, if you want to email me right now some images of your paintings to understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, I will do that live on this show for you. Why not? Let's talk about art today, guys. Why not? So yeah, send me an email. Understandingconspiracy@gmail.com. Right, guys, so the chat's flowing. We got 39 people in with us right now, which is a great number, I think. So I could probably start this presentation and see what's going on. I never would have if I hadn't have found you, says Winds of Change. Yeah. Well, we got to have a bit of fun with this research, haven't we? And if you want to covertly join into a group of secret clowns and find out what they're ruminating about behind closed doors, then by all means, as long as you share your findings with me, I'm all for it. Wonderful. Right, so let me just get my glass of water because talking is thirsty work. Here we go. Let's make sure I'm close to this. My strawberry here with me. There we go. And I'm just going to switch the camera over so you guys can see my screen. There we go. There's the chat so I can see you guys talking. And let's do this. So I've got a little presentation for you. It's not as long as my other ones, although I do tend to go off on a lot of tangents. This may go on for longer than I anticipated. But I just noticed a few things while looking into this particular artist called Nick Cave. I just found one of the major websites that talks about him here, just to give us a bit of an insight into who this person is and what his artwork's all about, or at least what he says his artwork's all about. So, just have a drink there. Let's get on with this. So, first of all, first impressions, the first image that comes up is I've got these donkey-eared, horse-headed, multicolored, fractaled, hairy, reed-wearing suit things that are animalistic in the middle of a field. And this is a art installation called Soundsuits Herd Detail 2012. So another thing as well, off the bat, we have Nick Cave right here. And in this photo of him, he seems to be wearing black and white fractal patterns, which I think is a very interesting thing to observe. Look at a close-up image here. So the black and white fractal pattern thing is something we discuss at length, really, on this series about the clowns. It seems to be similar to a phenomenon we call liquid crystal polarization, in which black and white patterns appear on the screen. It seems to reveal odd shapes when it does happen, as though we're getting a glimpse into a parallel reality of some kind. Whether that's true or not is irrelevant, but this black and white fractal patterned design does appear quite a lot when talking about clowns in general. So the Heyoka tribes, for example, dress in black and white stripe patterns. If you think about it, even the Maori, the Maori religions in New Zealand, the tattoos are very similar in this design as well, with the black and white fractal patterns. I believe it was shown on the movie Twin Peaks as well. It's a popular reference people like to use about it. Obviously, prison suits have this black and white fractal pattern, which could be symbolic of these spirits trapped in a fractaled matrix. I had a vision at the start of all this, where I did see one of these giant jesters in the DMT realm. And I wasn't doing DMT, I just had a quick 10-second view of it. And he was black and white striped, just similar to this t-shirt here. It seems to be synonymous with the jester, clown, disembodied spirit of the Nephilim. There seems to be this link between the black and white fractal lines and the other realm. It's why the Freemasons have the black and white checkerboard, I believe. It's why it's if you ever see the black and white lines, something suspect is going on with the symbolism. I think it represents either the Nephilim themselves in spirit form as disembodied beings, perhaps fractaled in nature. It could literally have been that they looked like that when they were alive as well in physical form. It could represent the reptilian pattern of their skin, which they inherited from their seraphim angel fathers who were reptilian as well. Or it could just be straight up symbolism. Nothing literal at all. just to represent the Matrix? I don't know. I don't know exactly the answer, but there's something suspect. So whenever you see this, you know there's something going on. So I know it's that, first of all. That's how he liked to represent his headshot here. And Nick Cave is an American fabric sculptor. He's a performance artist and dancer. He was born in 1959 in Fulton, Missouri, and currently Cave lives in Chicago, Illinois, where he works at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago as the director of the Graduate Fashion Program. Nick Cave's work is inspired by African art traditions, ceremonial dresses, armor, design textiles, haute couture fashion, and stereotypical feminine items. Okay, so stop right there. So he says himself, this work is inspired by African art traditions. And let's just look through some of these. So this is one of the sound suits. And again, it's this hairy motif, this incredibly hairy creature type motif with wild straw-like hair. And, he moves around in these suits and dances to music and makes videos while wearing them. But in this one in particular, they're all wearing Venetian masks with psychedelic reptilian patterned skin on them. This one in the back here in particular with the green and red looks very clown-like in terms of colour scheme. Now, I do believe there were Nephilim that looked like this, that were covered in hair, or perhaps feathers. I'm not sure. I think there was some kind of bird-reptilian hybridization going on with humans, not just reptilian. I think avian was involved as well. Quetzalcoatl was known as a feathered serpent. If seraphim angels, had wings like a bird, but then a face of a viper, then I guess they were kind of, a bird-snake hybrid. So I do think a lot of these psychedelic colours and the hairy skin or the feathered skin, which we see represented in a lot of these suits worn by folk traditions all around the world to represent them, are referencing the Nephilim directly. And that's where we get the psychedelic colour of a clown from, and the clothes a clown wears. But just looking through some of this artwork that Nick's created in these sound suits, it gets pretty trippy and psychedelic, really out there and dehumanized. And let's just think for a second about the meaning of sound suit. So these are supposed to represent nothing but sound. And it is said, that the Nephilim in their disembodied form essentially are sound beings now. And I believe they would manifest in forms like this if you were to try and visually see them. And I think when people take things like DMT and pierce that veil and see what they look like, I do think they look a lot like creatures like this now in their spiritual form. They're just wavy pattern and form of colour. And I do think everything is a product of frequency and vibration, including the colours we see. So these beings are these amorphous blobs of light and line and pattern and colour, not really embodied anymore, because they were disembodied by the flood, So what they are now are these trippy psychedelic looking things, like this, let's say. And they can essentially take any form they want, but I do think these are the types of forms they take. And you look at this stuff, the way he's designed these, and this is a blatant example, that he took his inspiration from African folk traditions. Look at this one as well. I mean, this one is just a bunch of clowns, or sound beings in a fractaled, multicoloured, ribboned matrix in the background. The symbolism's all there that matches exactly what we're talking about. Except this is art, supposedly. This is presented to the masses in a studio setting, and we're supposed to look at it and go, how deep? But what this is absolutely nothing new, and has essentially been done by African cultures since the dawn of their culture. This is how they venerate their ancestor spirits, as they call it. They dress like this and dance. It's no different. So, if you go to the Dogon rituals here, here's some examples of their ritualistic suits. And these dance rituals go on for months, I believe. These aren't just single events, and they go in like 4-year cycles, I think, and travel from tribe to tribe. But they were the exact same thing here when they're trying to evoke their ancestor spirits and venerate the dead. And when we say venerate the dead, we don't mean grandma and granddad. We're talking about their gods, the ones that were before, you know. Here's another example of this ribboned fractal effect that they like to wear in their garb. This one as well. Here they are on stilts to show themselves as giants, wearing a black and white fractaled mask with these colourful ribbons everywhere. Here's this one is wearing polka dots like a clown, you know, and also like the skin of a lizard or a snake as well. Wearing these psychedelic coloured masks and everything. And then we have obviously this modern artist, Nick Cave here, doing the exact same thing with his artwork. It's nothing new. Though he's presenting it as though he came up with the idea, you know, and as opposed to the ignorant who follow this type of stuff, then how would they know, you know, that this stuff is just ancestor worship but put into a studio rather than in a desert somewhere in Africa. So going on to biography, his large family inspired him to become an artist and the attentiveness required in the field. His journey began when he used to manipulate fabrics from hand-me-downs from his older siblings. So he has a rags to riches story. It's inspiring, you know. Nick Cave's best known work in this is the Soundsuits series. Costumes that completely covered the individual's body. They camouflage the wearer's shape, enveloping and creating a second skin that hides gender, race, and class, thus compelling the audience to watch without judgment. Does it? Is that what it does? Is that the deep meaning behind his sound suits? Is that all we're going to get? You know? The art usually makes the sound suits from sisal-dyed human hair. So we're using real human hair. Beads, plastic buttons, wire, feathers, and sequins. He uses these everyday objects to construct an atmosphere of familiarity with the rearrangement of the items into understandable representations, both material and social culture. The pillars of his work are mostly race, gender, and identity. Well, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? Let's say that again. He uses these everyday objects to construct an atmosphere of familiarity with the rearrangement of the items into understandable representations of both material and social culture. Now, that is probably the most pretentious thing I have ever read in my entire life to describe this, what looks like a tampon, basically, covered in sequins. You know, a fractaled being with an elongated head, if you want to say anything. It's a whole lot of words to say nothing, isn't it? And that's art for you. That's what it is. That's what you have to do. You have to come up with something like this to sell your nonsense. You know, to date, Cave has created over 500 sound suits since the first creation in 1992. So this guy's been doing this since I was born, literally, you know, 30 years. Cave draws inspiration from choreography and dance, which blends perfectly with sound suits as they enable the expression of both one piece and art. So we get some of these here, you know. That's a pretty trippy one. It's kind of like the body is manifesting out of the chaos, out of the sound. So, origins. The artist owes his upbringing to the development of his artistic techniques and skills. Growing up, he was forced by his older siblings to repair hand-me-downs, not knowing how the experience was shaping his future career as an artist. He quickly learned and developed his skills in fabric manipulation. Cave's first soundsuit was made from what he had learned from manipulating fabrics. The first soundsuit and Rodney King. So he released it in 1982 as a demonstration against the brutal beatings of Rodney King. So Cave recalls, quote, "It was a very hard year for me because of everything that came out of the Rodney beating. I started thinking about myself more and more as a black man, as someone who was discarded, devalued, viewed as less than. I started thinking about the role of identity, being racially profiled, feeling devalued, less than, dismissed. And then I happened to be in a park this one particular day, and looked down at the ground, and there was a twig. And I just thought, well, that's discarded and sort of insignificant. And so I just started then gathering the twigs, and before I knew it, I had built a sculpture. So the English there was terrible. Before I knew it, I had built a sculpture. Okay, yeah, that is right. I thought I said it wrong. So he used sticks and twigs collected from the ground and crafted them into an outfit that made sounds when worn. Cave pierced tiny holes at the base of each part and joined the twigs together with a wire. And just like that, the first suit sculpture was created. So he said, I was inside a suit. You couldn't tell if I was a woman or a man, if I was black, red, green, or orange, from Haiti or South Africa. I was no longer Nick. I was a shaman of sorts. Interesting that he should say that. So this is it. This is his first sound suit. Where have we seen this before? So this is supposedly a completely unique creation by this wonderfully deep and troubled artist called Nick Cave. And he's created this wonderful suit made out of sticks, which depersonalizes an individual and no longer makes them be able to be identified by race or gender, thus breaking down social barriers and making a social commentary on racism and individuality. Or perhaps he's just copied what the Wildermen have been doing in Europe for millennia to a T, which is the worship of demons and the veneration of ancestor spirits, basically. Although they do it to ward off demons, so they say. But what they are doing is dressing like a demon. Hands down, that's why they do this, you know. Here's other examples where they literally are dressed like what we consider a demon, wearing bells, so the suit they wear produces sounds which attract the beings, you know, using frequencies. These are the original sound suits. You know, they wear these suits with ribbons and bells attached to make sounds when they move, full of hair, you know, and animalistic features, which completely depersonalize the individual, so they embody the demon, no longer themselves. How is this any different from what Nick Cave created here as his supposed first sound suits? It isn't. So something tells me he knows exactly what he's doing, and he just lied about it. He just lied about what the inspiration was to make himself seem like some kind of deep individual who cares about racism and individuality, and you know, and people eat it up, don't they? Because they don't know these things. They're ignorant of these folk, you know, the traditional folk dances of Eastern Europe and the Balkans. How would anybody know anything about that? You know, and he's playing on the ignorance of others in order to profit from it, basically, and also introduce ancestor spirit worship into the collective psyche of Westerners with his artwork. To think it's okay, and it's nothing at all. No, so you look at these ones as well. Some of these sound suits he's created, and this is identical to pretty much everything created by most African traditional dances. You know, so you look at this here. And let's look at Eastern Europe again, you know, and we've got something similar here. It's the same concept, isn't it? You know, how's that much different from that? It's not. It's the same thing. Same for this one here. Here's another example of it. Yeah, so, you know, they got these tall, fractal, multicolored headdresses with feathers coming off and all over the place with the straw and the bells, these sound suits. Is that much different from these other tall sound suits he created up here, you know, that have this weird psychedelic effect going on? No. It's just more of the same. Just with a different name. Just embedded into an art culture which, you know, is ignorant to cultural history, I suppose. Yeah. So looking into this Dogon thing again, you know, it's not just the Dogons itself where he claims he got his inspiration from. I mean, you can look at all traditional African garb here, and you find it's done quite often. So Let me try and find... There's the black and white patterns being used again. Yeah, look at these ones. So this is Haitian voodoo rituals, which are, purposefully invoking ancestor spirits, they say themselves, and the Iwa, and they were these sound suits, which are no different from what he was showing here. Keep going down. It doesn't matter where in Africa you go, all the tribes and all the subcultures, and there are many. Africa is a huge continent, but they all have very extremely similar dance rituals, which they hold as extremely important, and they all wear similar clothing. The Dogons are particularly interesting because of their isolation. It seems like they've maintained quite a lot of their original cultures and traditions. They seem to have avoided the Islamization of a lot of Africa as well. They kept receding further and further away. But look at these sound suits from African ceremonies here. Identical to what he's created. And he claims his inspiration was finding a stick on the floor, and the stick was discarded, just like him as a black individual. It's that kind of pity party spiel, which gives his art meaning to other people, and obviously he's cashed in on it. So it's the ultimate grift, really. But the way they dance in these suits is the same way he dances in his rituals as well. The animal spirit harvest mask there. But yeah, you can look all over the place. Honestly, just search it yourself. Folk traditional African garb and culture, and you'll find they wear these patchy fabric overarching costumes which cover up their true identity and often have extremely colourful clown-like features. This one's got the white face with the red lips, multicoloured fractal skin. This one's got polka dots as well, flailing light and ribbons coming off them, and also what look like feathers or hair coming out from certain appendages. So a Nephilim hybrid being represented here. These are the ancestors they're trying to evoke. This one here, all the fabric coming down. This is a really common thing. This is identical again to Nick Cave's sound suits here, where he leans heavily into the use of fabric instead. It's just brought into a modern Western context rather than the original context where the inspiration comes from. And people gather to watch these rituals, thinking they're just modern art installations, doing them in public places, but what are you doing but evoking demons into a specific area through the ritualistic dance, as they were initially designed to be for. Whether you believe it was simply just ancestor spirit or not, but the truth is the only spirits on the other side of this veil are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. Then again, they're not your aunties or uncles. So yeah, again, it's uncanny, and the modern art scene is just a mess, isn't it? It's an absolute mess. Going off a bit on a tangent, I could go on about this guy forever, but there's no point continuing on about it. You get the gist. This was actually sent to me by somebody on Patreon, so thanks to you for sending that to me, and cluing me into this. I'd actually never even heard of this guy myself. It was just never the type of artwork I got into myself. But yeah, it's interesting. So it's just, what gets me is the pretentious descriptions they give for artwork, which have no standing in reality of what you're actually looking at. It's all just words to distract. It's all just nonsense. So yeah, moving on. I went to the Tate Modern a while ago. I've been to a few art galleries in my time, and while there, I'll just show you some of the things that I saw, which might just be fun to talk about while we're talking about art. So there was this art installation you're looking at here now on the screen, which was this robot following these prompts all around the room and interacting with them. And basically, he was just having speaking and having an existential crisis about the meaning of existence while walking around this room. And on the screens were representations of the AI who was supposedly speaking, and it's this woman here, as you can see in the background, wearing a black and white fractaled patterned t-shirt. I just find it curious that they went for the black and white stripes, and I've only just noticed this looking back recently, but it's an odd stylistic design choice, isn't it? And obviously this was years ago. This is 2015. This is a long time ago, and it seems like they were prepping for the introduction of AI then. So this is Sarah Lucas. This artwork. Look at this. This is supposed to constitute beauty, modern art now. It's a pair of tights stuffed with fruit and attached to a chair, and a pair of jeans held up by two pieces of wood. That's one thing. Make what you will of what you're looking at right here. As ugly and as heinous and stupid as it is, it's the descriptions that are funny. So here it is. This is called the Pauline Bunny. Sarah Lucas makes sculptures from an unexpected range of materials, such as worn furniture, clothing, fruit, and vegetables. This sculpture was originally exhibited with other bunny girls arranged around a snooker table. Pauline Bunny, in its black stockings, connects this representation of a woman to the image of a seductress. However, any suggestion of power this might carry is subverted by the passivity of the limp body clipped to an office chair, providing an emblem of secretarial submissiveness at odds with the glamorous fantasy of the bunny girl. So what the hell does that even mean? It's a pair of tights stuffed with vegetables strapped to a chair. But she's clearly a master at the bullshit, and that's how she gets into these positions. And someone clearly paid a lot of money for this stupid installation, so that you can't help but think this is just a money laundering scheme. And with inspiration like this for the kids to go and see in the modern art galleries, how can you not be inspired by this to create something beautiful? It's ugly, horribly, objectively disgusting stuff. It's worthless. There's no beauty in this. There's no standards to this, no matter what the meaning, so the social justice supposed meaning is. It's nonsense. And people should be, the people who create this stuff, I think, should be ashamed of themselves for contributing towards the degradation of beauty standards in art. I really do. Again, just more found objects nonsense. We've got a towel here duct taped to 4 pieces of plastic. We've got here a bed sheet bondage tied to a I don't know, some kind of red head behind a glass jar. It's all just nonsense. It's just gibberish. And then we have a Picasso thrown in there with it. Obviously cubist deconstructivism again. But at least with this, you could say there was some talent that went into the composition, and there's some awe-inspiring nature behind this. Looking at this briefly, I'm not sure what this one was called again, but I think I'm looking at some kind of eye on top of a strange phallic-looking thing next to a bull skull. So is this a reference to Molech? Subconsciously? Who knows? One of the most apocalyptic paintings, Bursting Shell uses strong lines and swirling movements of futurist and vorticist compositions, recreating the effect of an explosion. The dark shapes, which could be shards of debris or shadow, fracture what appear to be the bricks and timber of buildings and roads. So let's have a look at that. So that's talking about that. Yeah, okay, maybe I'll let that one slide. It's interesting to say the least, but it looks like a portal to the fractaled matrix, letting in sharp shards of darkness into our world. And notice the portal is to a colourful, bright, fractaled matrix, but nothing but darkness and sharpness is coming into our world as a result of it. I can't help but interpret things through the lens I'm giving right now when I see these things now. I don't take the word of the artist at face value. That's just a bunch of black lines on a white canvas. Definitely a money laundering scheme going on there. Is that a Mondrian? Some kind of Photoshop manipulation of Wall Street. More cubism, deconstructism, more of the same. So there was some interesting stuff there. Certainly some eye-catching things there. But then it's just thrown into the mix. There's a Lowry there, which is quite fascinating. Is a black canvas just thrown into the mix while we're at it. Just a blank black canvas. And it feels like we're being gaslit. It feels like they're saying to us, go on, say something, I dare you. You know, it feels like I'm in some kind of narcissistic, abusive relationship with the art gallery when I walk around, and I'm supposed to just go along and say, wow, how brave and amazing and normal is this? And if I don't, I'm the crazy one. But the truth is, this is crazy. This is stupid. This is nonsense. This is the death of beauty and art standards as we know it. So what do they say about this black canvas? So this is abstract painting number 5 from 1962. Reinhardt's work became increasingly reductive and symmetrical in the 1950s, and from 1955 until his death, he worked almost exclusively in near black. In fact, the blue-black surface of abstract painting number 5 has an underlying grid of different coloured squares divided by a green central horizontal band seen from the top left. The squares are red, blue, red, blue, red. Each of these colours was mixed with black oil paint to give a matte surface quality. So what? He painted a black canvas and then created a little line with some cubes in it made of different colours, and that's supposed to mean something? Is it this in the top corner he's talking about? A few cubes here, and now this is meant to be art? Come on. These people are having us on, aren't they? This is a joke. What a joke. Anyway, I'm not buying it. We've got some occult artwork here. Yep. About spirits in the underworld, blah, blah, blah. And I think some of the Greek gods represented. More of the same, more occult work here. More of the same. Look at this one. Look at this thing. Got some kind of reptilian monster with 6 arms eating this person in a pit of fire with serpents underneath. Surrounded by serpents. Is that supposed to be Adam and Eve there? Are those the angels? I don't know. Look at these demons here tormenting this man with a flesh hook. With these demonic smiles. Here's one with tusks. Yeah, bizarre. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, a lot of these are stories of Dante's Inferno as well. Dante's Divine Comedy kind of represented in art form. And then we have the famous Bed by Tracy Emin. Oh, I was blessed to see this firsthand, So basically it was just a raggedy carpet and a stained bed with a bunch of fag ends and empty bottles of alcohol, some newspapers strewn around, some used tampons here and there. And we're supposed to call this stunning and brave and say this, is brilliant because it represents depression. I'm not buying it, I look at stuff like this and I just get upset. It's nonsense. It's it was I was viewing this and watching my dreams just dissipate in front of me as I realized, the art industry is a load of bollocks. That's basically what happened. So some more cool artwork here I found along the way. This is quite a famous one. There's a lot of occult symbolism hidden in this, in the geometry of it. There's a huge breakdown about it all. I can't remember what this is called, but I did a study on this for my own dissertation years ago. Probably why I was taking these photos, to be honest. Same for this one. This is supposed to be, I think, King... who is it again? King Solomon, was it? Who got set into the wild? and to roam like an animal. Was it King Solomon? I can't remember now. Sorry, my ignorance is showing through there. I think it's just a representation of that anyway. And I think that's supposed to be... We've got the owl there. I think we've got a donkey, Pegasus. I don't know. There's a lot of esoteric stuff in this particular show. It's very trippy. There we go. I took a breakdown of it. So it's Blake. William Blake, yeah. One of the works of William Blake, a very esoteric artist. I think he had deep ties with secret societies when he created all these things. What seems biblical in nature is Freemasonic in nature with some of these representations, I think. Maybe I'll do a breakdown of them all one day. A mystical philosopher of supreme originality is described as here. Yeah. So then, eventually from the... I mean, look at this thing. There's a bunch of nipples sticking out of a clay cast. I mean, good God. Children see these shows, you know. And that's just a chandelier at the entrance. So yeah, so this is actually something local to my own town, Preston. And this is the Tate Gallery. Sorry, this is not the Tate. This is the Harris Museum in Preston. And there was this show going on for this artist. And he put this sign outside saying everything is going to be all right. And this strange, Roman style, perhaps Tartarian architecture, but I don't quite know, in the middle of Preston, was housing this Martin Creed exhibition. And I watched all these doting fans of him just watch in awe as someone stood up and just talked about Martin Creed. Because the man himself couldn't even be bothered to turn up to his own bloody exhibition, you know what I mean? And here we have just a line of cactuses in high order. That's one installation, which is wonderful. The wall was ordained in these awful childlike paintings. Like a 5-year-old did them with the finger. And they're supposed to be of famous people. Though I couldn't recognise any of them. There's a room where the lights just turn on and off. So this is one of Creed's best known works, for which he won the Turner Prize in 2001. So this is an award-winning piece of artwork. Using the existing gallery lights and a timer, visitors experience an empty gallery space filled with light for 5 seconds, and then plunged into darkness for 5 seconds when the lights go out. Comparing his work to a sculpture, he said, "I want to try and strip things down. I didn't know whether to have the lights on or off. But it was kind of an experiment in trying to make something that you don't have to look at, or don't have to look at directly." So what does that even mean, Martin Creed? That doesn't mean anything. So you wanted to try and strip things down. First of all, strip what down? It's hard to strip nothing down when there's nothing there to begin with. And you didn't know whether to have the lights on or off, so you thought, I guess I'll just do both and call it art. The work has a playful, almost theatrical audacity to it, challenging the visitor's typical gallery experience. Does it? Does it really have a theatrical audacity that challenges the visitor's experience? Or is it just an inconvenience, just turning a light on and off every 5 seconds? He said that his work was an attempt to make his work more like music. What's turning a light on and off got to do with music? Let's see what he says. Light going on and off was an attempt to try and make something that makes itself in front of you as you watch it, just like a piece of music makes itself before you as you listen to it. No, somebody made that music before you listened to it. It was already predestined and determined to go a certain way before you listen to it. It doesn't unfold itself just because you are listening to it. I don't know. I was trying to make a piece of sculpture more like a piece of music. So you turn the lights on and off every 5 seconds and that's art. Great. Here's a bunch of rectangles stacked on top of each other. Here's some black and white fractal lines on the wall saying "Don't worry." So I see the black and white pattern now, and I do worry. I begin to worry when I see stuff like this now, because this symbol has a lot of meaning, a lot more meaning than I think they led on in the art industry. Here's a bunch of pieces of A4 paper coloured in with felt tip pens. Not very well, I might add. Yep. Here's some more rectangles stacked on top of each other. I don't even want to read these descriptions because I'm just getting angry. Here's a picture of himself, smiling, with this big, wide, jester-like, toothy grin, wearing his black and white checkered shirt, laughing at everybody for paying him money for doing what he does. This is a joke, you know. He's in on it. Yeah, he's definitely in on it, and you all fell for it. Anyway, I got into an argument with somebody at this exhibition. And I basically said, this is nonsense. This is not art. And then he started going on to me saying, well, art's subjective. How can you say what is and isn't good art, you know? And I said, art is not subjective. There are objective beauty standards that you can choose to ignore and pretend don't exist, but they still exist whether you like it or not. And this does not uphold any standard or talent or skill whatsoever. This is bad art for bad artists to enjoy, so they can feel like they can make it someday because they don't have any talent themselves. it's you know, I got into this debate and he was getting all flustered and angry, and I was getting quite calm about it and saying, nope, you're wrong. Beauty does exist. I'm sorry. It's not subjective. It's objective. This is nonsense. This whole exhibition is nonsense. It's an affront to art itself, and I just kept standing firm at that point, and he was getting angrier and red in the face. And by the time the argument was over, I was looking around and I realised everybody is filming us on their phones. So there's a video somewhere online, and I don't know what it's called or anything. I cannot find it, of that argument. So I assume it got posted somewhere. I have no idea where it is right now, but it's in this room, and I am arguing with this guy about objective beauty standards that do exist, how it's not just an opinion, and how this gallery is nonsense. And then after the argument was over and he left, the mayor of Preston came up to me and he says, yeah, I agree with you, mate. And he's the one who opened this gallery. We cut the ribbon. And I was looking at him, and then we were looking at these photos that we saw earlier of the footballer or something. He was looking at this, and he says, that's supposed to be a famous footballer. And it says, and he's like, I don't bloody see it. I just looked at him and laughed and said, yeah, me either. And that was it. So from that argument, I got to speak with the mayor of Preston, which was quite fun. And he agreed with me. He thought this gallery, which he himself had to open, was just a lot of bollocks, you know. Yeah, it's funny. On a side note, I found this photo as well. This is a drawing I did years ago of what I thought the Nephilim may have looked like from a side profile, using the skull that were found of the Nephilim. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but this is a bit of fun I had years ago drawing. That was people playing with the New Age and getting hurt from it. That was my symbolic meaning behind that. You got the little platonic solids being created there from the blood splatter. Play with the spirit realm and treat it like your god, and you will get hurt, I think is what I was trying to say there. And I collected a few videos from when I went to a Freemason hall. Here's a Freemason trying to show this strange ritual. Trying to say it's just a symbolic representation of going into the darkness and coming back up a renewed man in the light or something, right in this Egyptian shrine. Yeah, he didn't tell the truth about what all this really meant, but it was interesting to listen to him lie, that's for sure. And maybe I'll make a video about that another day, where I go through all my my tour of a Freemason hall in Ireland. Maybe I'll go through it with you, but that's a story for another time. Anyway, let's go back to the chat. I just had a bit of a rant about art there with you guys. Let's see what you guys are saying. And like my voice a bit of a rest while I have a drink. Oh yeah, and you can't see it right now, but there's a video here as well of a guy vomiting into a bucket. And that was another one of those art pieces. It was in the room where the lights went on and off. Anyway, I'll switch the screen back, see what you guys have to say about all of that I just shared with you there. Give me your opinions on modern art. Let's see what you guys have to say. But there was my talk. Let me just straighten this mop of a mess up. You know what? Good enough. I'll leave it like that. So let's see what's going on. Let's go back to the chat. Let me just bring it up. Just close some of these tabs because they slow me down, and my computer is whirling away as loud as it possibly can to try and stay cool right now. But yeah, I've got the group chat up. We have 39 people with us right now. That's pretty cool. No, sorry, 47 people. It just updated. That's pretty cool. And let me just scroll the chat up and see what's going on. Yeah, when it comes to talking about art, I start to get really angry and my voice elevates, and I just start, I go off on one really quickly. Sorry, I'm just trying to... Yeah, so Drunk Wedding Photographer said, you know, as an artist went off on me for an hour because I insulted her coat hanger installation. That's basically what happened to me when I insulted the row of cactuses in high order. And, you know, I think I won that argument in the end. So we've got... I think I've caught up with the chat. I think I'm kind of back to where we left off. Marina Abramovich, talk about the clown group, and... Kanga Kong says, I remember going to this art walk, in air quotes, when I lived in Salt Lake. I remember seeing this table with vintage toys and became excited because I love old tin toys. Turns out it was art. And anything can be art now, you know, the found art movement is called. I've seen that before. People just find objects and put it in a gallery and call it art. Yeah, it's a really common thing, that. What else have we got? Have you given some thought about the rap from the Balkans, that Mickey Mouse ripoff called Lapich? So you sent me... Yeah, I remember now. You sent me an email explaining that to me, didn't you? I've not given much thought to it, unfortunately. I did glance over it quickly, but I've been distracted by other things. I'll revisit it and see if I can give a formulated kind of response to that. But yeah, thanks for reminding me. But no, currently I don't have an opinion on the matter. Was it an African artist who made the sound suits? Yeah, Nick Cave. I think there's two Nick Caves. There's a musician and there's an artist. There was a similar art style in a game called Viva Pinata. Yeah, I remember that. About those coloured snouts, I mean. Not sure if I believe in Nephilim, but if so, they are clowns. Yeah, kind of. That's kind of what I'm saying. I'm not saying the Nephilim are clowns. When the Nephilim roamed the earth, there was no such thing as a clown. A clown wasn't a concept in their minds. It didn't exist. A clown is a very modern Western thing. And the modern Western thing we call a clown is just a caricatured cartoon version of the features the Nephilim had. That's all I'm saying. That's my theory. It's not that the Nephilim acted like clowns or walked around juggling. It's nothing like that. The title's provocative, but the what it really represents is actually quite simple when you think about it. So White Dino says, the designer fashion industry is full of fractal pattern design, and it is flooding into everyday clothing of the masses now. Yeah, well, I talked about the recent runway stuff that was going on, where clown couture was coming in. You know, clown core fashion was all the rage right now in the fashion industry. And once you see the catwalks do the crazy stuff, you start to see the more toned down stuff coming to the shops for everyone else to start wearing. So don't be surprised if we start seeing more and more Harley Quinn patterned clown motif-esque clothing becoming popular and kind of sold to the masses. Don't be surprised if you start seeing that. Clowns are a parody piss take of humanity, so it sounds like something Nephilim would endorse because they hate us. perhaps they could be interpreted as a parody of humanity as well. I mean, that's true. I do think there's exoterically, that's what the clown is supposed to be understood as to most people. But to the initiated in secret societies, when they see a clown in a performance, they don't see a human. What they see is the fallen gods they worship acting out rituals that they perform themselves in their own societies. So they see Nephilim, but the profane, so people who are not in the club, all they see is a person acting like a silly human for fun, to mock humanity and make people laugh. What the Freemasons who are initiated into the knowledge see is a Nephilim entity being venerated by humans. You know, they see their truths acted out in a circus performance, and the Nephilim are a big part of that acting out of their history. But to us, the uninitiated, we're just supposed to see a dude wearing a red nose juggling and acting like a fool. You know, it's a two-sided interpretation. These look like Wildermen costume suits. Exactly, yeah, so you caught that before I said it then. I've seen video on live TV of the polarization and it's trippy. If it's a camera glitch, why do background objects not change? Yeah, there is that. And why does it make a perfect outline on the head? Honestly, it's a very strange phenomenon. It doesn't really happen anymore with the advent of technology and the way it's developed. It happened a lot more on the older TVs. Yeah. Sound equals color equals frequency equals voices, says Wyodino. Yeah, I think I mentioned that in the presentation. A subverted American... Sorry, the chat just jumped for me, guys. Sorry, I've lost everything. Just give me a second. I've lost where I was in the chat. Okay, I think I'm catching up again. Must take a really long time to make these costumes. Yeah, probably. A subverted American flag, how artsy. Yeah, you saw that in the background, yeah. A thing I often think is that scaled creatures represent pattern, matrices and fractals, thus 4-dimensional beings not fully attackable on this plane. A thing I often think is that scaled creatures, so like reptiles, represents pattern. Yeah, I think a lot of these patterns, what we see on these clothes, are representative of reptilian skin. Yeah, I do believe that's what it's really all about. And you look at a snake or a lizard of any kind, any reptile, most of them are incredibly trippy looking, and colourful. Think of a chameleon, for example. But also, a lot of these may have been water-based. So Poseidon was considered the god of the sea in the Greek pantheon. So he probably had more fish-like, half human, half fish-like tendrils and things. So perhaps he had skin like an octopus, which was psychedelic in colour, and some of that may have got passed down onto his offspring, where he mated with humans. So there were different classes of angels who rebelled, and reptilian seems to be the main theme. But amphibious may also have been another one, and you get a lot of amphibians and insects as well. Have these psychedelic colours and patterns. I think that's where a lot of it comes from. I think the fallen angels were kind of like when they were created in like a theme of a mashup of animals, kind of a mashup of all creation. There were probably different types of angels that all had different types of image and look. And I'm doing a lot about it in my book in the next chapter. What did the angels look like? What do we have as descriptions? And we have the biblical descriptions, sure. We have passages from apocryphal descriptions as well, and the Enoch and Book of Giants and other books as well, what were found with the Dead Sea Scrolls. But then if we look outside of the biblical canon and look at how pantheons were described by ancient peoples in the past and the way they describe their gods, we can find more insight there into what these angels probably look like from their descriptions. One example I'll share with you later was an Aztec god called Kawil, or God K for short. Someone sent me a link to this, and it was fascinating. But there's a depiction of this Kawil character, with a serpent leg. So one leg was like a snake, and there's this relief where it shows it's showing an aged ancestor or deity emerging from the serpentine foot of the lightning god, trying to mate with a nude young woman of decidedly aristocratic allure entwined by the serpent. So even in this old pottery relief, it shows this lightning god. So Lucifer fell from heaven like lightning. I believe the fallen angels came to the earth like lightning. I believe a lot of lightning gods like Odin or Zeus, or Thor, these characters, these gods, which were always depicted to be entwined with lightning, are representations of fallen angels. And this one in particular was a reptilian man-like being. And it's shown here mating with a human woman who was a part of the aristocracy of the day, so a part of the kingship and the rulership of man. And I have a whole chapter in my book again about the kings and rulers of the antediluvian age were the Nephilim. And the way they got the Nephilim into positions of kingship was by raping or having sex with women, so wives and daughters of kings. So when the child is born, they're born of a legitimate right to rule because they're of royal descent, and also a divine right to rule because they are half fallen angel, And you'll find there's actually a lot of stories all around the ancient world of these entities mating with human women, but not just any human women. They were specifically the wives and the daughters of kings, already established kings on the earth. So it seems like there was a conspiracy, a concerted effort on behalf of the angels who did these things to make sure that they were producing offspring within the lineages of rulers. They wanted the Nephilim to be in positions of rulership over mankind from the very beginning. It was a plan, it was an agenda put in place. And this Mayan story just confirms the same thing we hear all over the earth. And the Greek pantheon stories are the most specific about it, though. I will say that they give the most information. Anyway, went off on a tangent there. Let's get back to the chat. Also, the dancing short people in Time Bandits are wearing these suits in the Sean Connery scene. Oh, interesting. Artwork honouring the unseen realm. Why Dino says, yep, that's true. Can we just go back to wearing clothes? I wish. Kanga Kong says, Paul, this is amazing how close his work is to the tribes you showed. It's so obvious when you have the eyes to see. I'm thankful you opened my eyes to the Clown Nephilim connection. No, thanks, Kanga. I appreciate it. They just ran a Trump Gold Bar commercial. What, on this? Did they? Fair enough. I didn't know they even did commercials on live shows, but apparently that's been happening quite a lot recently. So glad I caught alive, says Cultivate Kindness. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. I see it now, says they seem to be increasing the output in nonsense and idiocy in all forms lately. It does seem that way. Maybe it's always been that way, though, and we were just pointing out more of the same. But it does feel like it's worse now than ever, doesn't it? It certainly feels like it. Drunk Wedding Photographer agrees with you. Ruse Razvan, nice to see you again, bro. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. That's just creepy. Straw Man. Looks like Cousin It. Yeah, it does, yeah. Keep connecting those dots, Paul. Looks just like the Wildmen. Yeah, exactly. I saw it straight away. It was so obvious to me as soon as I saw it. Sasquatch and Bigfoot, certainly. See Yoda Demon in Star Wars, indeed in plain sight. Did I spy a Hollywood then? How bizarre. I can't separate the wheat from the chaff anymore. Oh, maybe we can. Maybe that's not for us to do anyway, so don't worry too much about that. You just make sure you're doing it right, okay? Grass is blue and sky is green. Convince of this your kin, neighbour, and you're a philosopher, poet, artist. Yeah. Sasquatch DNA, human mother but father unknown. Yeah. So he just copied someone else's homework and got a better grade. Basically, that's what this guy did. People listened to him and paid attention to it because he made it all about race. He played the race card, and you play the victim card, and you're of a particular class. What could be considered within the victim class, and the whole world gets given to you this day and age. So fair play, the grift is real, and I guess he succeeded. They had these suits in Eurovision this year, did they? Interesting. I don't watch Eurovision, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were there. CERN tunnel ceremony, yep. The CERN opening ceremony for that. The Gothard tunnel as well. Yeah, they had all these people out in their straw sound suits doing a huge ritual for the opening of the tunnel. I remember that. The Wilderman played a huge part in that. He's definitely in the club. Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. Looks Navajo to me. I'm from the American Southwest. I think you were talking about the tall sound suits. Yeah, maybe it was Navajo. You will find though actually that African tribes in Africa do have very similar folk traditional ritualistic dance costumes as those in Africa and America. They do share quite a lot of the same styles sometimes, and when looking through trying to find images, I do often find there's a blend, and it's hard to tell just exactly where it was from, but I'm often surprised to find out where these suits do come from. But you are going to find similarities because they're all essentially venerating the same ancestor spirits, so it's not surprising to find that, but it's still great to find that because it just proves all of this has some weight to it. I hope you guys can still hear me, by the way, and I'm not too far away from the microphone. Just let me know if I do need to lean in a bit closer. I'm so glad I'm not lumped in with these modern artists. Yeah, I know. It's all SEO keywords that come out of these artists' mouth. It is, isn't it? Yeah. Search engine optimized. Which I'm terrible at, by the way. I do not know how to do any of that. These videos are not search engine optimized at all. It makes me think of Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat. Not sure what the meaning is. Yeah, there's definitely something going on there. What about racing stripes? I'm not sure. Not sure about that. Yeah, Damien Hirst with his sliced up animals called art. Or the skull, the diamond encrusted skull as well. We'll call that art. Yeah, Damien Hirst is a part of the YBAs, the Young British Artists movement. So was Tracy Emin with her bed, and so was Sarah Lucas with those tights you saw, stuffed with nonsense. The Young British Artists are all full of it. They're all in on it. Yeah, absolutely a part of the corruption of they were designed and sent out into the world purposefully to destroy art as we knew it. Absolutely, I find there's nothing but negativity and nonsense has come from that group since its inception. And people have funded it and made it happen on purpose. Definitely, they're just the figureheads. They're just the scapegoats. There's money behind their movement. They were put into the spotlight for a reason. Be careful. An opinion presented as proven fact is exactly what you say these people are doing. It's fine to have a religion. Facting is religions are political instruments, says Travis Jacques. Well, it's not. It's my opinion that my religious perspective that the Bible is true and Jesus Christ died for our sins, as far as I'm concerned, is the truth. That might be my opinion, but I believe it's the truth. So I will state it as a matter of fact. As far as I'm aware through my own research, I am pretty convinced that what I'm saying is not just merely an opinion. I think there's some weight behind it, and it's truthful. So no, I won't be that careful, unfortunately. But thanks for your concern. Look into Sabbathian Frankists, and you'll understand why this push. I will look into the Sabbathian Frankists. Okay, we'll look into what you're talking about there. Redemption through sin. I was thinking Portal 2. Where is this? That was the Tate in Liverpool. What I was looking at there, the Tate Modern in Liverpool. Stunning and brave, says John. Yeah, exactly. I do like that line in the movie about television where it says that the ones with philosophies were the dangerous ones. Yeah. It's, a lot of vain philosophizing going on this day and age. I find also there's a lot of vain philosophizing going on in the conspiracy culture sometimes as well. There's a lot of channels out there that build their rock and their channels on vain prognostications where they basically, like the artists, say a whole lot of nothing about a whole lot of nothing, and spread the time out doing that. At least with this, I think I have a clear, distinct message I'm trying to repeat over and over again. But I think a lot of people trying to find what they're all about and what they want themselves to be known for end up just talking a lot of nonsense for a long time. People might say I'm guilty of that, but I don't think I am. I try to be on point with what I'm saying. I find it's mainly the New Age truth channels, the Gnostic truth channels, the more alchemy-themed truth channels, They're the ones who just end up talking a lot of nonsense about nothing for like half an hour per video. And you find they have the title of the videos mean nothing. I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head, but what would they say? They'll say something. The title of the video will be something like authoritative energy, the underdog of Gnosticism, or something like that. I don't know. Authoritative energy, the underdog of the elevation. Which I basically just said nothing. I just said a bunch of word salad, you know what I mean? And I find a lot of word salad gets produced by a lot of so-called truth channels because they're just swimming in vain philosophy, thinking themselves to be wise by saying all this stuff, but they're really not saying anything of any value or truth or pushing any boundaries or actually revealing anything. They're just kind of, I don't know what's the word, just I guess swimming in vain philosophy. That's all I can say. Because it's I guess it makes them feel better to feel intellectually superior to those naive Christians out there by doing so. Perhaps. I don't know. Maybe I'm being facetious. I'm not religious, but I certainly do believe we're in a spiritual war between good and evil. Sure. Something like that. Not freak Masonic. Yes, sir, it's a battleground. If you have seen demons, and you can only assume the opposite exists too. Angels are just harder to see. They are coming from a much higher plane. Yeah. But you see, demons, which are the offspring of angels and humans, aren't the opposite of angels. Demons are a product of angels. Not the opposite. I suppose the opposite of a demon would be us, the offspring of a human. Something like that. It's hard to say what the opposite of a demon is, which is a Nephilim spirit. There is no opposition. This whole angels versus demons thing isn't a real thing. That's kind of something the movies have just made you believe and cartoons have made you believe. The truth is, rebellious angels worked with demons to corrupt all of mankind. And there are good angels out there who still on the side of God, who bound the bad angels. So the real war wasn't demons versus angels, it was angels versus angels. It was a civil war, essentially. That's the real war. It was never, the Nephilim were just foot soldiers in that. The demons, shall we say. So there's a lot of confusion about what a demon and an angel is. A lot of people think demons, but a lot of people assumed or believed just by completely ignoring Genesis 6 that, yeah, demons are just angels. It's kind of, but there's no evidence for that. But whatever. Let me just carry on with this. The demons are much closer to us here. You'll forget the meaning of life is God's love. That means God love as you love yourself. Love the way God loves. You get mad at yourself time to time. You forgive every time. Sure. Fallen Angel by Alexandra Cabanel is a cool painting. Okay, I'll look into that. The only demons are the ones running the show. Haven't met one yet. And count yourself lucky. I went to an art museum last week, and it was a total joke. Political murals and bad art thrown in with beautiful classical pieces as though they were the same. Yeah, exactly. That bloody thing can be interesting, actually. I loved your rant. I picked the wrong career. It's okay to be wrong. I'm wrong too. All will be revealed someday. Till then, let's try and figure out together, not fighting for who is right and who is evil. I don't know what's going on there, Travis. I don't know where anyone said that. Oh, perfect. A ginger. Love it. Keep exposing the Nephilim. The North American ones are real interesting. Hey, look, I've said this before and I will say it again. This is the very definition of strawberry blonde, okay? I do not have orange hair. And my beard is dark gingery brown. It's not bright orange. I'm not a true ginger. Right? Said it once, I've said it again. There you go. I was a tattoo artist for 35 years. Some of it's still alive, yeah. Speaking of tattoos, I just noticed some people in my life that were questionable had clown tattoos. Interesting. Play Returnal. Not sure what that's about. Sorry, the chat has randomly jumped away from me again, so you have to give me a minute just to quickly get back. I thought clowns originated in Europe. The modern conception of a clown kind of did. It was Grimaldi who came up with what we perceive as a clown, with its white face paint and multicolored clothes. Joey Grimaldi, who I think was from Newcastle in England, to be honest. But it was popularized and it spread throughout France as well. And then there was the French clown. And obviously all of that has its roots in jesters and of the court, of the kingly jesters. And then it starts to go further and further back. It starts to get more and more occulted as to exactly where it originates from. But clowns, as we depict them today, white skin, silly face paint, bright coloured hair, multicolored baggy clothing, big shoes, honk honk horns, juggling, that is a purely Western creation over the past 150 years, let's say. Kanga Kong, I loved your rant. So I think I'm catching back up to the chat here slowly. I think the Nephilim spirits can travel through electrical currents, says Kanga Kong. Why wouldn't they, since Lucifer fell like lightning, which is electricity? Yeah, exactly. And through sound frequency as well, I think it all travels through. It's all the same thing. It's all energy at the end of the day. Certainly, these are energetic vampires. These are energetic beings now in the bodiless form. That's for sure. Like Peter Birdsall's giving us a lot of information here. So Travis says here, serpents ruled the world before mammals. Humans' primitive, instinctive part of brain is the same as reptiles. We all have the selfishness of creators, and the selflessness of creators and the selfishness of creations. You know, maybe this isn't quite what you're saying there, but there is this interesting verse from Gary Wayne's book, The Genesis 6 Conspiracy. I'm just trying to load it up here now while I'm talking to you, but get a bit of context. Basically, he's theorizing that before Adam was created, Adam was created with the intention of God to train him to become the ruler over all of mankind. He was kind of like the first design concept for Jesus, I suppose you could say. He was destined to be a king over all of creation. And basically, quickly summarizing here, the angels didn't like that, the rebellious ones, because they had in fact been ruling over a beta form of man for thousands of years before Adam came along. They were viewed as gods among men. You know, the fallen angels were worshipped as gods by the initial creation of man. And obviously the fallen angels were reptilian in nature. So I think it's best put here by Gary Wayne. Obviously, I'm butchering the description here. So if I can just find the quote I've put in my book and I'll read it to you. I think it just gives a very interesting perspective on it all, of what caused the rebellion to begin with. Why would angels rebel against God? It just seems like a foolish thing to do, doesn't it? So Gary Wayne says this: please consider that Adam was a mortal mammal, created from clay and genetically akin to primates or monkeys, while seraphim angels were powerful, immortal beings created from smokeless fire. Seraphims were pre-Eden, snake-like beings, dragons, complete with wings. Seraphim angels were obviously more akin and comfortable with extinct dinosaur and reptilian-like life forms from ancient epochs past, which I conclude seraphim angels likely partook in creating, and after their own image, being as seraphims reigned over the earth as archons and rulers. Therefore, the impious seraphim angels regarded Adam, a mammal akin to primates, receiving incredible blessings from God, as an insult of immense and unprecedented proportions. Seraphim angels would have persistently and persuasively maintained with God that perhaps a serpent-like being like a crocodile or pre-Eden serpent should have received those blessings and inheritance, not the mammal. Then I write, for their pride in their assumed superiority and rebellion against God's plan for Adam to be ruled over by them, Lucifer and the angels who agreed with him were cast down into the earth. Lucifer would continue to assume himself as a ruler over the earth, and was out to prove to God that man was not worthy to rule. He was out for revenge. Lucifer's first act of spite was to corrupt God's beloved Adam by sending the serpent to tempt Eve. Now, assuming I quote the passage of the corruption and the snake and everything, And then I say, assuming this animal was not simply Lucifer in disguise, it would appear the serpent in the garden sided with the seraphim on this one. Birds of a feather often stick together. So that's my own take on it all. But basically what we're saying is, these reptilian-like gods, these angels, ruled over the earth and considered the reptile way the best way. So when God decided to make a mammal, an ape like Adam, the ruler over the earth, they were insulted. They couldn't believe that decision of God. They were like, we're not good enough. I refuse to bow down and work for an ape of some kind. They were outraged by it, and as far as they were concerned, they had been ruling over humans for quite a while by this point. The people of day 6, the men and women who were told to go forth and multiply. It seems like Adam was created separately and put into the Garden of Eden specifically for a special reason. He was set apart from the rest, and he was told to name all the animals. Even the angels weren't given that pleasure. He was blessed. He had these blessings put upon him that, you will rule the earth, basically. And even though he was put into a fallen state and corrupted by the serpent in the Garden of Eden, the blessings still remained. And it's through Adam's lineage, all the way through Noah, and then onwards from there, after the flood as well, the Saviour would come. The final Adam, I suppose, the perfected Adam, the birthright of humanity would finally be fulfilled by Jesus, And if you want to go down the Tartarian route, perhaps he's already ruled for 1,000 years as the intended king that Adam was supposed to be. It's all interesting to ruminate on and theorize on from there. But the reptilian gods, the fallen angels, are probably this serpent rulership you were talking about in your own comment there. I do think there is some weight to that idea. Sorry if that was too quiet, by the way. I know I got away from the microphone a bit there. I love these lives. Thank you. I'm going to have to rewatch, says Moon Mimi. No problem. Thanks for being here. Intro Observer, great to see you. Vanity of vanity, all is vanity, sure. Many subs equals many shekels. Compromised channels and platforms. Masterclass clickbaiters. Humble, thankful, honest equals wisdom, says Peter Birdshaw. Sure, I don't know what you're talking about there, but sure. I think there's a lot of truth in what you just said there. Keep seeking truth, brother. I was raised Baptist too. Rejected it for New Age, but came back to biblical Christianity. Learning more every day. God bless you, says Humble Stranger. Well, that's nice. A demon is an unclean, soulless spirit. Yes. I know exactly what you mean with some of these truth channels. Some of these people are too much. Yeah. Why do these demons go after certain people? I think they're after everyone. Certain people have just thin the veil more than others and are easier targets. I think that's it, really. Obsession or possession. There's not much difference between obsession or possession sometimes. Never tattooed a clown. Good. The term clown was derived from Nephilim as well. Yes, I know. Peter Birdsong, I'm going to stop you right there. I am the person who created the theory that the Nephilim, that clowns derive from Nephilim. I don't know if you realise that. That was me. So don't waste your breath trying to explain it all. I already know. I'm sure everyone here already knows too. My grandmother was in the OES. She used to make clowns out of pegs, material and dowel for my grandfather. An Ansar shrine. Yeah. The Shriners, are well in on it. They know what they're venerating. Well and truly. How could we even know that? talking about the acoustic design of old cathedrals. Gary Wayne is a great watchman. Yeah, he's a nice guy. Yeah, I'd like to talk with him again sometime. Actually, I might reach out to him and see if he's up for another catch-up chat. Especially now I'm writing this book, I reckon his insight and some questions I could ask him might be invaluable to my own book, to be honest. Entities Insight. I have the best captures of real shapeshifts, and I'm not talking about that unusual pixelated stuff. I mean some even in high solution. No, it was very interesting. Do you think they visit us in our dreams too? Yes, I think when we dream, I'm not sure what's going on there, personally. I don't know if we're creating a world inside our own brain or if we're projecting a world into the astral plane and exploring it there. I don't know. As a heavy dreamer myself, I'm curious to know the answers to these type of things, because I dream every night and they are insane every time. I think the rules still apply whether you're in the dream world or in the physical world. If you're protected and filled with the Holy Spirit, these things will flee from you. I think what happens as above, so below, if you want to go by that principle. I think what applies here still applies there. So as long as you're right with God and Jesus and you've got the Holy Spirit on your side, I think you are protected in your dreams as well as in the waking life. Again, I'm theorizing here, but I think that's the case. If that isn't to say you're impenetrable, you might be full of armor, but that doesn't mean you aren't going to get attacked. You have to defend yourself and know how. Still, you have to use that sword if it comes to it. So, get Gary Wayne on again. Would be greatly appreciated. I'll reach out to him soon. I'll see if we can get something arranged. I'm actually at the end of the month, I have a plan to be on a podcast with someone who goes by the name of The Recluse. He's quite famous in the conspiracy world, apparently. He's been podcasting for years. I think on his Patreon, he has like hundreds of patrons, and he gets paid like $1,800 a month. So it must be a well-known entity. But someone's reached out to me to get in touch with him. I got in touch with him. We've arranged for me to go on his podcast and talk about all the clown stuff. So I'm actually looking forward to that. That's scheduled at the moment for the 29th of this month. When I know more details and we've got it properly arranged and booked in, we need to arrange a time right now because of the time differences. I will let you guys know, so that's something to look forward to. Who else am I? I'm also in talks to go onto an Italian YouTube channel and talk about this theory. So that's interesting. I'll send you links to when that happens as well. But they've recently discovered the clown theory and have been translating all of Conspiracy R-Us' videos, and now they're doing mine. And obviously I've said I'll come on and actually talk with them if they want, so that should be fun. What else is going on in that respect? I'd like to reach out to Jerry again, maybe get him to come on and have a chat with people. And myself. And yeah, Gary Wayne. So I'd like to talk to Heidi Hollis as well, if possible, the one who wrote the book on the shadow entities. Again, I think I follow her on Facebook, and I think I might be able to actually reach out to her and communicate with her on there quite easily. So maybe I'll send her a message as well. Yeah, should be good. Maybe I'll catch up with Alpha Talk soon too. I had a good talk with him. He's always creating some cool stuff. So collaborations was something I tried to do all the time back in the day. I had a thing called Theorist to Theorist, I called it, and it's where I would get as many YouTube channels to just talk about conspiracy together. Just come on, let's have a chat about it. I talked about all sorts of stuff with all sorts of people. KJ Osborne, had a great talk with him quite a few times. We were quite close. I don't see much of him nowadays. I think he's come off of YouTube now. I think he does other things. I was on his Rigged Reality radio show. I talked with Sons of Thunder quite a lot. That was quite a big popular channel. I talked with him quite well. Anthony, I think his name was. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. It's been years. I used to talk with Jesse Spots quite a lot, and Meegsby as well. We had plenty of conversations together. Yeah, I got quite a lot of people on the channel back in the day. And I'd like to keep doing that. It's fun to collaborate with other YouTube channels. It really is. Can you elaborate a bit on the black and white striped patterns? You see, the thing about the black and white stripe thing is, all I know is tribes all around the world, but mainly the Heyoka tribe and another South American tribe, use the black and white stripe patterns when representing their clown deity. I do know in my own vision that I saw a black and white striped jester in the DMT realm. So I firsthand know that they do look like that in their trippy way. I think it's more to do with line and form, because they don't have bodies. They just look like a static line being of some kind. I think that has a lot to do with the black and white pattern. We know the black and white pattern is used a lot to represent the matrix, such as the checkerboard floor in Freemasonry. That's why it's such a big deal. I do know the black and white patterns are referenced everywhere where demons are concerned in media. So there is some strong link there. Now, I have 3 theories. Either in their spirit form, that's what they look like. Black and white striped patterned beings in their psychedelic bodiless realm right now. Just on the other side of the veil, which is on Earth still, but just behind this veil, that's what they look like, black and white, maybe. But I don't think that's the case, because it's a psychedelic, multicolored, trippy realm, so that doesn't make any sense. So either they look like that in a spiritual form, or perhaps they looked like that physically when they still had bodies. They had black and white patterned skin. That's very possible too. Or the black and white is merely symbolic of their now bodiless nature. And when it's used, it's just representing, through symbolism, their disembodied nature. But the truth is, I don't know the truth on that. I don't know. I just know it's always referenced when talking about demons. There's a huge link between the two. Polarization, reality itself is based around it. Yeah, this is the whole duality of reality. The yin-yang symbol is a good example of that as well. You can't have one without the other principle. Every coin has 2 sides. There's no such thing as hot if there wasn't cold for it to be compared to. Everything is dual in nature, including us. If you actually, I talk about there being a fractaled matrix, but the truth is, the world we live in is a fractaled matrix too. I just describe that world as a fractaled matrix because people have a psychedelic image in their head when I say that then. But this world is made of fractals as well. We're made up of fractals, the world we see and experience on a daily basis is a psychedelic realm, if you pay attention. It's kind of, if you've ever heard of the warp and the woof argument, when you look at a beautiful carpet, for example, a rug gets made, and the side of the carpet that gets shown to the world that's facing up is beautiful and arabesque and has this beautiful pattern going all over it, But when you turn the rug over, you see all the lines and the hidden stuff that connects sections to sections. It's a mess. And that's the matrix they're in. So it's still the rug, but we live on the side that was meant to be seen. That's meant to be experienced. That's meant to be lived. The other side of the rug is the hidden workings to the thing that projects the pattern that needs to be appreciated on the other side. So they're kind of like trapped in the mechanisms and the principles and the frequencies and that realm that creates and projects this one we experience. So they're still here on Earth with us, just disembodied, and without a body, you can't experience this thing, Instead, you're stuck in the realm of projection, of sound and frequency and light, but not the physical forms that they create. So they never left the earth, you know. So when I say fractal matrix, understand that that's just a phrase I've come up with to describe the psychedelic realm they're in. But it's not really any different from this realm if you describe it as a fractal matrix, because like I said, this is a fractal matrix. They're here with us, you know. Anyway, that was a bit of a random rant there, but right. Fana Knox, sound is good today. Thanks for the show. No problem. Thanks for being here. I have a very graphic story I've told no one, says Shell Killer. KJ does his show on Rumble now, Saturdays and Mondays. Interesting. I didn't know that. Kanga Kong. I'll look into it. I'll see if I can reach out to him again. Then that's cool. So Shield Killer says, I got possessed and almost died from an infection on my face. My face was so swollen, one half of my skull started to look like a Nephilim. I almost died. It was so bad. I'm sorry to hear that. Now I have 2 Joker scars on each side of my mouth. It's something I have to live with. I'm sorry about that. That sounds horrible. A Glasgow smile. Yeah. Serious battle scars. Trapped inside the machine, so to speak, says entities inside. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. And I think that's, you know, you get the phrase "ghosts in the machine." That's what it's really all about. You know, that's where it comes from. That's where that type of thing is inspired from. Be careful who you let in, they say. Right, guys. So I've been going for almost 2 hours now. That's my usual run time. We've had a good talk today. I'm probably gonna have to call it a night because my, as you can hear, my throat's getting dry. If you guys like what I do, you can always support me on Patreon. Links are down below, and obviously for the book as well. The support's going quite well. I've almost reached half my goal, which is wonderful. I've had 29 people donate to the GoFundMe on the book, which is fantastic. And I'm so thankful for that. Like I said, anyone who donated over £100, that's $125, will get a free signed copy of the book. I will buy it with the money you've donated, and I will sign it personally and send it to you in the post. All the money you've donated is being saved to pay for things for this book and for stuff like that as well. So that's wonderful. The book's coming along quite well. I have just taken a week off. I've written little bits here and there, but I've not added much more other than just editing what's already been written, to be honest, when I do get the chance. I've almost finished section 1, which is 10 chapters long, and I'm about to go into section 2, which hopefully should be a few less chapters, but section 2 is where I get into the description of the clown, specifically the history of the clown, and how the clown features are representations of Nephilim features. And this section also covers what the descriptions we have are of the Nephilim and the fallen angels. So we're getting there, you know. It's off. The book's getting there. So I'm quite happy. We're getting steady progress. So I'm quite happy about that. And I'm always sharing with you guys things I'm doing here and there with the book and the odd passage as well. There's some stuff I didn't get a chance to share with you tonight. I've got tabs open here. I'll save it for the next show next Sunday. But other than that, guys, I think I'm going to leave it there, okay? Let's quickly check the chats. Smite the like button. Yeah, guys, if you could hit the like button on this, that would actually be appreciated. I think it does help boost the old thing that I'm not sure I'm allowed to say. But it does help get the video around. For sure, it does help. And leaving comments as well definitely helps in below the video, not just in the chat. That definitely helps boost these type of things. I will try and get a video out midweek. I didn't do it this week, obviously, because I was on holiday, but I will try and get out a proper video, maybe around Wednesday or Thursday. I think I might do a video on Inico, the new musician I did a post on not so long ago. I've been writing the script for that, and I'll probably try and get that finished and ready for you guys at some point this week. But as always, I will be back on Sunday for the next live show, as per usual. If you guys want to send me anything, you can do it at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com. You can send me anything you like at all, and I will check it out. You guys send some wonderful things to me, some great insights. Much of what you guys have sent has, what people have sent has been a great help to me in my own research and into helping write this book as well. So anything all would be appreciated. Honestly, I will take it if you have something to offer. I'm just quickly checking my emails now, actually, before I go. Ah, yes. So E. Joyce did send me some paintings that I did say I was going to have a look at, didn't I? So I do want to... I think we should do that. We should do that before we go, right, guys? Let's look at E. Joyce's paintings, and then we'll call it a night. All right. So let me share the screen, and I'll let her know what I think of these, and you guys let her know what you think as well. So let's switch this over, and let me just check. Right. So we have an Instagram link. Just close these tabs. I should speed it up a little bit. Here we go. Alright, oh cool. So we've got some line drawings here. Oh wow, look at that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that a lot. Very surrealist. Reminds me of some of Dali's work with the landscapes, especially these strange landscapes. But no, that's amazing. Is what is that? Oil, yeah. You see the texture from the oil quite well. It works. Yeah, I love the clouds as well. Very well done. Nice use of perspective there on the clouds. Definitely. I like this. It's like so you're looking up at a ceiling fixture that will go around a chandelier or something, or artwork in a when you look up in a cathedral, something similar. But yeah, I am a huge fan of birds myself. Actually, I'm a bit of a photography enthusiast when it comes to birds. I love taking photos of birds in wildlife for some reason. So I do like these. I appreciate them. That's a nice pencil drawing there as well. Brilliant technical skill. But yeah, that's beautiful. I like that a lot. I really do. Obviously, it looks like a bit of a work in progress, I'm guessing. Unless this is it's the final composition for an oil painting. Yeah, so this is going to be a painting then. Well, I'll look forward to seeing how this one pans out. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom in, but it doesn't seem to work how I want it to work. But yeah, that's a beautiful composition. Definitely, yeah. It's like the window of a cathedral as well, like the main window in a cathedral. Beautiful. So let's look at the ones we've got sent here as well. So this is a sneak peek at the painting, is it? Brilliant. Oh wow. Yeah, I like that a lot. I do. I like that a lot. Would you consider selling these? There's a legitimate question there. If not, you should. But this is amazing. Yeah, this is definitely. This seems like a bit of a magnum opus for you so far. Looking at how your work's progressed on your Instagram, this may be one of your masterpieces. The rose is beautiful too. Don't get me wrong. I like the tree sparrow here. That's lovely. Got the robin here. I do like a good tree sparrow. Very architectural with your drawings here. I like how you use perspective and line in this one. Yeah, amazing. I like what you do with pencil and marker point. I do. I love this landscape. Yeah. Looking at all this is inspiring me to want to draw again myself. It's been a while, but no, I'm loving this. Oh, this is really good. You should be proud of yourself. This is some great work. Definitely. This is the type of stuff I wish was in the galleries rather than the nonsense I was showing you earlier. This is the type of stuff that inspires. And it's lovely. Yeah. Brilliant. I don't really have much of a critique, really. You just keep doing you with this. It's working, and obviously you have gotten better with time, but you were clearly very good to begin with. You know what I mean? But as with all artists, that's what happens, isn't it? Yeah, everything improves with time, but you clearly have the technical skills to see you through. That's wonderful. Let's see what people in the chat have to say about that. I'll just quickly switch it back over here. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. I like the bird. Yeah, people like it. Yeah. The cathedral one is amazing. They're all great. People like your work. Excellent. The birds have personality and character, so much talent. I marvel over this. There's people. Well, it's got a good reception. You should consider selling this stuff. Definitely. I'll help people know that you're doing that. If that's what you want. Right, guys. I am going to have to call it a night now. As you can hear, my voice is gone. I'm at an end. I hope you enjoyed this talk. I suppose this was more of a therapy session for me, just to rant about the state of the art industry. It's something I like to do every now and then. That's something I need to do every now and then, so I appreciate it. Like I said, guys, I'll be back on Sunday for a live show. I'll try and get a video out for you this week as well, just to keep us tying over. You can support me down below. Links to the GoFundMe and the book are down below as well, and Patreon. But other than that, guys, I'm going to leave it there. And as always, God bless.